I used to hate my husband, but now I think I'm in love with him. I know the title is exactly how it sounds. I'm 27F and my husband 27M have been married since we were 18 years old. At the age of 9, my family promised me away to our family friend's son. I have dreaded my birthdays ever since. 1 year closer to marriage and 1 year closer from being stripped of my freedom. While I was counting down the years, I met a guy. He made me happy, made me forget about ever having to worry at all. Eventually, I turned 18, and I met my husband for the first time. I hated him. Looking at him made my blood boil, because I had already loved someone. We got married 2 days after meeting. After the wedding, we didn't do anything. I remember sitting down on the honeymoon bed. He walked in and said, "I do not love you nor do you love me, so let's have an open relationship." I didn't argue and told him okay. I was happy because that means I could see the guy I was so desperately in love with. But we had rules. We could never have fun time in the bedroom. We must always sleep in the same bed. No talking bad about each other to our partners and more basic things. So every year after that, we put on the same act. A loving husband and wife at family gatherings after we went off with our partners. Me and my boyfriend were doing very good. While my husband never dated, only one night stands, a couple of years passed. And I thought everything was going okay till I found out. My boyfriend had been cheating on me with a friend from high school. Ironic, I know. I went home and cried. My husband came into the bedroom where I was crying asking me if I was all right, even though I hated him. I told him everything and he held me there for what seems like hours. After that, me and husband got closer. I took a break from dating while my husband still did one-night stands. We started keeping each other company. We did movie nights, game nights, and he took me dancing. Then he stopped going on one-night stands. I never asked. A couple nights ago when I was getting snacks for our movie, I walked in and saw him deleting all the dating apps he was on. I didn't mention it. I sat down with the snacks and he scooted closer until our shoulders were touching. I felt a little nervous and fluttery like a teenager on their first date. He got a work call late night and promised he'd be back as soon as he could. I fell asleep on the couch, and when I woke up, I was in the bed with my husband cuddling me. I was very flustered by this, and after that, it has never been the same. This man that I hated so much, the man I cursed for years before I got married, turned out to the exact opposite of what I thought he was. It's like I have a school crush. I can't believe it took all these years for me to realize that it is not his fault that I was promised away. He was also promised away to a stranger, so I could imagine how he feels. My husband started bringing me flowers and gifts. He tells me it's 'cause he just thought it would be nice. We began staying up all night together and sleeping until almost noon. He bought me an engagement ring upgrade and cuddles me to sleep when he used to be on the other side of the bed. I think I'm in love with him and don't know how to tell him. Part 2 update. I used to hate my husband, but now I think I'm in love with him. I have some bad news. Me and my husband have to fly back to our home country for funeral planning. His mother unfortunately has passed away. She died of a stroke. My husband hasn't stopped crying. I'm doing the best I can for him. He's sleeping beside me. He refuses to let me get up at all. We've been in bed all day. And I have to use the bathroom, but I can't use the bathroom because he bear hugs me whenever I try to leave the bed. My husband said something earlier today that caught me off guard. He was talking about children and continuing bloodlines. We have never had a serious talk about children or our relationship because it was usually always us ignoring each other or running off with our partners. He told me he wanted children and for us to raise them. I still have a lot to think about, especially since we have never said I love you to one another. That's the only update for now, but I'll update in a week's notice, or maybe a little longer, because I need to take care of him for the meanwhile. But I never imagined this post getting so much attention. It was really just an event post because I had no one to tell. Thank you for all of the support. Part 3 update. I used to hate my husband, but now I think I'm in love with him. My husband thinks I'm hot. After I made my first official update, we flew back to Pakistan for the funeral. His mother was the glue of his family. I saw his father crying over her casket as they carried her to her grave. It was very hard to watch. My family was there as well. My father and my husband's father were in the military together for a long time. So to see my father trying to pull him off the casket so they could bury her was truly heartbreaking. After the funeral, we went home. My husband was in bed for days straight, refusing to eat, move, or do anything. I had to spoon feed him because he will not die of starvation on my watch. Eventually, he began walking the house, talking more and eating more. I booked him his first counseling meeting last week, and he's been more verbal with his feelings. He will begin working from home in a couple days. He suggests that I also start working from home so we can be closer. We haven't talked much about that though. I took my husband out to a restaurant so he doesn't lose his ability to socialize properly. I told him over dinner how I have been thinking about us spending some time apart so he doesn't become only dependent on me, to say the least. When we got home, he went crazy. He said it wasn't even an option. What I said made him so upset, he didn't speak to me for a day. We sat down and he talked about his feelings. For nearly 2 whole hours, he was talking about our arranged marriage, parents, open relationship, and past partners. He admitted that he hated my ex-partner for more reasons than one, but never said anything about it. He told me he likes the way I dress, the way I do my hair, and he overall thinks I'm hot. I busted out laughing because in our home country, when we first got married, all the women said that he was too good looking for me. It was a very funny night. We went back and forth telling stories. I told him about the Reddit post I made, and he read it. He also read the update I made. He told me he thinks he is in love with me too. And he might go make a Reddit post titled, "Used to hate my wife, but she's too hot to hate." We read the comments, and his favorite one was, "I think you should ask your husband to start officially dating." We laughed the whole night. He wants us to renew our vows and do a whole new wedding ceremony. I told him he was crazy, and we would have to tell our parents the truth if we ever did that. To say the least again, we video called our parents and told them the truth. We started at what happened on our honeymoon night, to us deciding not to have an open relationship anymore. They were very pissed, but would allow us to redo the ceremony, but we would have to do it in Pakistan. My husband automatically agreed, and we will do the ceremony in the beginning of the new year. Even though my husband is happy right now, I can tell he is still grieving. So what we are doing mostly is counseling, working and trying to improve our home life with each other. I've talked to his father to see how he is doing. He's been staying with my parents for the past week. May Allah's blessing be upon him. Also, can we stop only referring arranged marriages to the fanfics many of you read? I found it very disrespectful, not only to me, but my culture, and especially the amount of people put into arranged marriages. Thank you for the support, and thank you for waiting for this update. I hope it wasn't disappointing to most of you.